The desired result for this lesson, there are two things that we're going to go over. The first thing is we're going to talk about the connection between your schoolwork now and how that impacts your future. So yes, what you are doing right now today matters. And the second thing we are going to talk about is we're going to talk about how your career selection, in other words, what you want to do for the rest of your life, or at least the job that you're going to have after high school or after your training. We're going to talk about that in the job marketplace. In other words, supply and demand. And if you don't know what that is, well, you will by the end of this lesson. So when someone says college, the thing that probably comes to mind is a university and going to school for the traditional 4 years. However, there are lots of other options. And what I'd like to do first is do a quick educational review. So these are just some basic, and there are lots of other options, but these are the traditional degrees that you can get. The first is an associate's degree, and it typically takes 18 months to 2 years. Then we have the bachelor's degree, and that is usually what you're thinking about when somebody talks about a 4-year degree. A master's degree comes after your bachelor's degree. So after you go to 4 years and you get your bachelor's degree, then you go an additional 2 years on average, and then you would get your master's degree. A professional degree, that is when somebody, for example, if they're a lawyer or a dentist, so they go the 4 years, they get their bachelor's degree, and then they go an additional, after that, they go, let's say 3 or 4 years, and then they pass some sort of test. So you've heard of people, like on TV, if you watch Law and Order, you've heard about them passing the bar exam. So that would be a professional degree. And then the final one, and there are things beyond this, but a doctorate or a PhD. And these are when people go for 4 years, so they get their bachelor's degree, and then beyond that, they go another 4 or 5, sometimes takes longer, but they do some sort of research or dissertation. Now, there are other degrees, there are other permutations or other options that people have, but these are the basics. What I want to focus on today is the associate's degree, because I want to expose you to some options, some things that you can do that you can get an education that does not necessarily take 4 years. So we will get to going on to the 4-year college degree, and we will talk about that yet this year. But today I want to talk about trade school or associate's degree, just to expose you to some options, some things that you can do that if just with a little bit more education beyond high school, you can make a really good career, really good salary, and have a really nice lifestyle. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. So getting your education is sort of like gathering materials in Fortnite. And if you play this video game, you'll understand this analogy. If not, just roll with me for a second. So if you're playing a video game, and actually in a lot of different video games, you have the opportunity that you can run around and you can just have fun, or you can take the time to gather things. So in some video games, you might be gathering materials. In other video games, you might be gathering tokens, or you might be gathering gems, depends on the video game. But if you gather these things, when you get into a battle, you'll be stronger. You'll have more opportunities. And 9 times out of 10, you'll win the battle if you have gathered, if you have the supplies or the materials, you will be able to win the battle. Well, it's the same idea with your education. If you take the time now, and I mean it now, when you're in 7th grade, 8th grade, in high school, if you take the time to gather the materials, you will have more opportunities later, and you will not be pigeonholed. And what I mean by that is you will not be forced down a road that will have very few options. You will be able to choose many different options later. So sometimes it's more fun to run around and to play and not take the time to gather the materials that you need. But now is the time to do it, because when that battle comes, if you have the right materials, you'll be able to win. So what I have here is a slide, and it shows you, and this is from 2017, it shows you unemployment rates and median usual weekly earnings. In other words, it shows you the average unemployment. So if somebody had less than a high school diploma, so if somebody dropped out before they got their high school diploma, this is the percentage of people that are unemployed. And this is right here, this is the average, this line going down here, right here. This is the average salary that they're making. And I also broke it down just to give you an idea of how much that they're able to pay for rent. And the way that I got that, by the way, is on average, you shouldn't pay more than 40% of your monthly salary that you bring home after taxes. It shouldn't go into paying for your rent or your mortgage. And even that, 40% is still pushing it. If you can get it down to 30%, that's better, but 40% is really the max. So if you drop out of high school, on average, you'll be bringing home $520 a month, and that comes into $1,577 a month, which sounds like quite a bit of money. You're thinking, woohoo, but that's before taxes, that's before, I mean, that's just flat out money. So that comes down to, you really should not be spending more than $630 in rent, just to give you an idea. And by the way, with these types of jobs, that is a best case scenario, because oftentimes with these jobs, if you are sick, you're not getting paid. If you don't go to work, if you have vacation, you're not getting paid. So this is if everything is good, you're getting the money. If you go up here, if you get an associate's degree, you now are more likely, because here's the average, you're now, on the good side of getting employed. And you now look at how much your rent you're able to pay. This changes where you're able to live. It changes the school district that your future children will be able to go to. It changes the crime rates of where you're living. It changes, think about where you want to live. Do you want to live in the city? Do you want to live in the country? Do you want to have a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom? How many children do you want to have? Think about all those things. And I know this is so far away, but it changes so much, because this amount of money, this difference, it's a lot. So, and the other thing is, when you're going from this job to this job, the chances are these jobs, they very well may give you paid vacation. They may give you benefits. They may give you other benefits in addition to just more money. So there's things that go along with just the increase in money. So it's more than just asking, what kind of salary do I want to make when I get out of school? It's also what kind of lifestyle do I want to have? Where do I want to live? What kind of surroundings do I want to have? There's more to it than just a dollar amount. The other thing that's really important to think about is supply and demand. If a job is in demand, if there is a job that we really need people to do, then you're going to be able to be employed with that job. If, on the other hand, we don't need that job as much, it's going to be hard for you to find employment in that job. So, for example, if you guys have ever gone shopping with your parents, in the summer, it's really easy to find fruit at a good price because there's fruit and it's in season. But then in the winter, when fruit becomes, there's not as much fruit, well, people still want to buy it, but the grocer can sell it for more expensive because there is less supply, but there's still demand. The same thing happens with jobs. If there are 50 people that want to do a really cool job, but there's only 2 positions open, then there's going to be 48 people still looking for a job because there's only 2 open positions. So something that you need to consider when you're thinking about jobs is finding a job that there's going to be enough openings for. And we're going to take a look at that in your homework assignment. So that's one of the things I want you to keep in mind. So it's not just finding a job that pays a lot, but it's also keeping in mind, am I going to pick a type of job that there's going to be openings? Am I going to be able to find that type of job? Because some jobs, they're like everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people want to do, but there's only like just a few positions. So then there's a lot of people that want that job, but all those people can't get that job. Okay, so let's go over a specific job. And this is somebody who does radiological and MRI technologist. So this is a person who works with people who have cancer, and they help with the radiation treatments. They make a good salary. They make almost $60,000 a year. They only have an associate's degree, so they've gone through high school and they did a good job in high school. They took their biology, they took their life science, they took chemistry, and then when they got done with high school, they went to a community college. So if you live in the Harrisburg area, maybe they went to Hack. If you live in the Reading area, maybe RAC. If you're down in Philly, they maybe went to Philadelphia Community College. I mean, there's lots of different community colleges. So they went to a community college and then they got a certification to do this. What I want you to pay attention to is the job outlook here is 12%. And what that means is that job is going to grow 12% over the next year. And that is a lot. This job is going to grow. So we would expect there to be more jobs available next year, which is sad because that means that there's more people getting sick. But if you think about our population, there's more people and there's more elderly people. And we know that there's cancer. So we know that this job is a job that there's going to be a lot of demand for. And there are a lot of positions. So this is a job that if we were to look at supply and demand, there is a lot of demand and there's a lot of supply. So this is a job that you make a lot of money and you're going to be able to get employed. There are employers looking for people that have this certification. Okay, let me show you another job. Computer programmer. And this is something that we thought was a really good job. And actually 10 years ago, this job was happening. But what happened was a ton of people got this certification. And it makes a lot of money. A lot of people got into computer programming. But look what's happening now. They expect over the next year 8% reduction. We don't need as many programmers. And even though there's a ton of jobs out there, what we're finding out is that they're predicting there's going to be a decline. And they're saying that there's going to be people losing their jobs. So it's important to pay attention to the research. Now, am I saying don't go into coding? Absolutely not. If coding is your dream, if this is your passion, if this is what you are gung-ho to do, then follow your dream. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying don't go in blind. Make sure that you are the top of your class. Make sure that you are coder extraordinaire. You cannot be mediocre anymore and get a job doing coding. You need to be extraordinaire. Here, there's an increase. Here, there is a decrease. Yes, they're making more money, but 8% of people, they're going to be losing their jobs. We don't need as many. So it's things like that to consider. So you need to kind of weigh out your options and think, if this is something that you are passionate about, okay, keep going, but make sure you're the best. If not, then think about how can you make yourself special, or what else can you do? What can you find that's similar, but that has an outlook that the job outlook is increasing, because that's what you want. And I will show you how to find that. We're just now starting to explore, because you want to look at these trends. These are important. This research is done. It's important to consider, because this is the last thing you want to do is spend money and time and get an education and then not have a job. But the research is there, and you can use it to your advantage. So, did we meet our desired results? Let's check in. Did you make the connection between how your schoolwork now impacts your future? I hope you're shouting, yes, Mrs. Boydis, I did make that connection. The second thing, do you understand the importance between career selection and the job marketplace? Follow your dreams, but also keep in mind that you need to find a job that you'll be able to get a job doing what you want to do. So it is important to do some research, and we will do that. That comes down the road. We will be looking into specific jobs and researching how many openings there are in Pennsylvania, or if you plan on moving out of state, I will show you how to do that as well. We will look into how many openings there are with that specific job. But having awareness that it is important to see how many openings are there, so you don't have your dream job and have the training for that and have spent money to get the training and then not be able to get that job because there are hundreds of other people applying for that job, and it becomes very difficult to get that job. So I hope that all this helped make that clear, and be sure to read the directions for the assignment. There is an assignment attached to this video lesson.